Hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo Podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. My name is Jemma, and joining me this week, I have my two good friends. I have Trev. Welcome back, Trev.
Hey, Jemma. Hey, Kirk. I missed you guys.
Yeah, we missed you too. And welcome back, Kirk. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Glad everyone's
Oh,
here.
sorry I
Yeah,
spoiled Kirk's presence when I said his
yeah, I
name
know,
before
right?
you.
Like, what are you doing, Trev?
I see you gave it away. Now everybody shut off.
Yeah,
It could have been
we just
Justin.
it could have been, and we now that we know Kirk's here, we know we can look forward to a mention of Flash Gordon at some point during the show. So we'll see how that comes up
I'm looking at our
Oh,
list and seeing if I can figure out where I'm going to work it in.
again.
hey, I wasn't on last week's show. I've got ideas for games and sequels and all sorts of things. So,
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, listeners, for joining us for another week. I just wanted to say thanks for listening each and every week. And if you'd like to leave us a review, please do so on one of the podcasting channels or give us a like on YouTube to support the channel. What we're going to do today is talk about a whole bunch of news items and then the games that we're playing. So let's start with the news items. And it's June, right? And this normally means, or previously it meant, E3, which was a big part of our lives for many, many years. And now I think this year we're really feeling for the first time, even though it's been on and off for a couple of years now with different virtual events and so forth with COVID. This is kind of the first official year we don't have E3. It's gone forever. And they've tried to replace this with a few other things, I guess, like the Summer Games Fest that just kind of ran during the week, as well as a few other kind of virtual sessions. And I guess I wanted to, yeah, first of all, start with that with you guys because I know you've both been to E3 over the years. Um, do you think? How do you feel about that being the kind of anniversary of 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 that establishment that we no longer can enjoy? Trev?
um, well, I only went to one, so I probably
Okay.
don't feel it quite as much as
Mhm.
Kirk, but it's nostalgic. I was joking before the show. My phone will pop up like old photos and be like, "Remember this day 5 years ago?" And all week it
Mhm.
was E3 and
Yeah.
Kirk and
Yeah.
Harrison and myself and the show floor. And I'm glad I got in when I did because who would have known that, what would have followed. But,
Mhm.
um, I also, to some extent, though, think that it's run its course, with the way we have to digest information now and companies have to release information,
Mhm.
with like Nintendo Directs and such, hint, hint. But,
Yeah.
um, obviously, it was good for indies too, who might get overlooked, and hopefully, some of these other avenues will give them the attention that they might be feeling is missing.
Mhm. Do you have any thoughts on that, Kirk?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in line with Trev on this. I
Mhm.
think it had run its course. I think I would have lamented there not being one this year more if we didn't know for sure that there's going to be a direct just
Mhm.
around the corner. Because I mean, the only reason I went was for Nintendo. Obviously, that's what I was covering. Although when I originally went, it was to cover Mac games and
Yeah.
mobile games on the iPhone, and that was the first year they had a whole mobile phone display. Was the
Wow.
reason the company that I worked for sent me down is because I had to cover all the iPhone games that they were talking about. But that's beside the point. So yeah, I mean, as we were talking about it, I thought, oh yeah, that would probably be going on right now. I could be in LA at this point playing some. I guess it'd be
Mhm.
wrapping up at this point for
Yeah.
when we're recording. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I miss it. I miss the fun that we had, but I do understand why it's gone, and I don't expect anything to ever take its place, and that includes Summer Games Fest.
Yes, yes, Summer Games Fest. And I'm not even really sure how the format of this worked, apart from, I think it was more like summaries, articles written about these are the games that were highlighted or these were the announcements made. And I guess it's all virtual, which is interesting and fun and nice. And it means, time zones are no longer important. I think I mentioned in past podcasts that, E3 ran obviously in the US. And for me, it was overnight. So I'd wake up and if I, as a fan, I want to see the announcements of the previous day, I'd have to kind of wake up in the morning and then see what happened at E3. So from my perspective, it really kind of feels the same in a way. That this time of year seems to be a format for announcing or showing trailers or announcing games or whatever it is. And I definitely love the fact that you both mentioned the direct because that we know there's direct coming this month. I think Nintendo would have been maybe it wouldn't have been a good move to do it this week just because there was the Summer Games Fest and a few other kind of virtual events. You wouldn't want to get lost in that. So I think, yeah, I wouldn't have expected it to happen this week. So hopefully, I'm thinking next week. I think we've only got 2 weeks left, so it has to be soon.
Better be.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes, but so there were free games announced during the Summer Games Fest. Not a lot of Nintendo presents, which is not really a surprise because Nintendo has its own direct coming. We don't really know a lot about the next half of the year for Nintendo, but there were a couple of interesting looking titles. I mean, there was the Sonic X Shadows, which we already knew about. That they had a new trailer. There's this Lego Horizons though, which is interesting. And I thought maybe Trev, I don't know, because you're a Lego game fan. Did you see this trailer? Did you have thoughts on it? Do you know Horizons? I don't. I'm not a PlayStation player, and I know it's a PlayStation game, Horizons, and this is a Lego game based on that, but it is coming to Switch, and I wondered what your thoughts on that might be.
Yeah. Well, mainly the only reason it stood out to me is just because one of the few uh like big Summerfest games that are coming to Switch. I feel like
Mm,
a lot of that was more for the the other console crowds. So
mhm,
um I'm sure it'll be. I mean, I like pretty much all the Lego games, especially in co-op and
mhm,
in couch co-op, right? That's one of the marketing things. So I'm
mm.
sure it'll be good. I just, they're always buggy in my experience too, and glitchy. So the
Yeah,
bigger the Lego game, the more opportunity I think there is for maybe a lack of polish, but time will
true.
tell.
Yeah. It looks I mean, the trailer looks I know nothing about Horizons, so I don't know any of the characters, but it's quite funny. The trailer looks quite tongue in cheek and, that usual hilarity that comes with some of the Lego franchises, so we'll see how that pans out. Were there any other highlights from the Games Fest that we wanted to mention, or we're happy to move on to something else? I mean,
I'm just
SteamWorld
saying that Lego
yeah.
trailer, they're showing like
Mm.
not Switch footage.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
don't watch that if you're a Switch player and get your hopes up and then be disappointed.
Yeah. This is true. This is true. Yeah, there's a few interesting games, like, I think a Ranger looks interesting, which is a role puzzling adventure that's coming out in July. Not sure if you guys have heard of that one, but it's like a top-down, view. It's kinda got Zelda elements to it, but it's the pathways move, and you have to kind of use I guess there's a bit of logic to how your character moves around the screen, and I think this one we had heard of previously, but it's, now I think it's got an official release date in July, and it's got a nice new trailer. And it was playable at the Games Fest, wherever that was, whenever that was. Yeah. So there's a few interesting little ones. Critter Cafe was another kind of cutish one that looked interesting. I think that's coming out sometime in 2024. So the other thing was that we wanted to talk about the Homebrew Games Summer Showcase, which is really interesting because this is actually a showcase designed for games coming to, say, the NES or the Super Nintendo or the Game Boy, all of these kind of older consoles. And Trev found this. I don't know how you knew about this, Trev. How did you come across this? I wasn't even aware of this one until you brought it to my attention.
Well, my industry contact. No, I got an email about it. Actually, I got an email like a month ago, and it's just
Mhm,
like, hey, we're going to be running it on whatever YouTube or wherever it was, and yeah, that's all. Nothing fancy, but
mm,
I enjoyed watching it for the most part. It was a case of maybe less would have been more because the games were presented in rapid fashion. It was hard to kind of digest any of them really without pausing, and but it's cool for fans of retro hardware, and all the Nintendo systems were heck, even the Virtual Boy, got
yes.
love, or the old NES Zapper, like you were saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
so um, yeah, I think it's cool, and the market for retro hardware, I think, is really and retro software games has really boomed since COVID.
Definitely.
So it's fascinating to see what these talented studios and indie developers and hobbyists are able to do with actual hardware. The thing that impressed me about, I can't say for every game, but for at least the games I looked up, is that they're really sticking true to the hardware. They're not doing any extra trickery or whatever, because a lot of the games, are going to be on a physical cartridge for like the NES or the Genesis or the Game Boy or whatever it's going to be. So they have to work within the confines of the tech that's available, and the
Mhm.
things that they can pull off is just leaves me in awe.
Yeah, it's very impressive. It really is. And there were 100 was it 120 games highlighted in like a 35-minute
Yeah,
so
it was a lot. I would say for future shows, maybe either make the presentation longer or break it up, or maybe break it down by hard, like company.
mm,
Like these are all
mhm.
the Sega, these are all the Nintendo, because I feel like you end up doing a disservice. You try to get as many as you can, but when they're only on screen for 5 or 6 seconds, and you're straining to see information. Wait, when's this coming out? Is it 2024? Is it 2025? Who's the developer? Oh, too late. We're into the next game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very quick, very fast paced. And but it's great though. Like you said, to see these games, I was just overwhelmed a little bit by the sheer number of them. Like 120 games coming out for these retro consoles. It's a lot. The talented developers that spend their time doing this, it's amazing and very impressive. Very, very impressive. And I think if you're a retro gamer, definitely check it out because it's absolutely worth seeing what's on the horizon. And these games, they'll have kind of release dates or release windows. I think most of them were 2024, some were even available now, and then some slip into 2025 as well. Well, even a couple were 2026 actually, so there might be early development. Very mixed range, but some are definitely out now, and there's a range of, genres from RPGs, shoot 'em ups, action games or platformers, puzzle games. There's a lot of variety as well. And it just makes me think I really need to find my 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 NES, like you, Trev, and get that set up so I could actually maybe try some of these.
Mm.
Yeah. It's just so cool. Did anything Sorry, Kirk, we haven't, heard from you in a little while. Is there anything that stood out to you in that or any thoughts you had on that kind of retro presentation?
Yeah, the complete and total lack of Intellivision games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Yes,
man.
notably
Yeah, I
absent.
think there's like a targeted systems. Like it looks like almost everything on here is NES or Sega or something along
Mhm,
those lines. The more
mhm.
popular ones, I don't know. Since I don't know a lot about homebrewing, do you? Has there ever been any in television love or Atari 2600, or do people look past that?
A 2600 for sure. I don't really know about Intel. I thought they had a ColecoVision one in here, so I
There
think
is,
you
yeah,
can.
there's one
There
listed.
is Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
now
my
that Atari's acquired them, right? Maybe there's more of the market for that afterlife
mm,
homebrew scene.
Yeah.
yeah, it could be. Could very well be. So it's I mean, is it an annual presentation then, would we say? Or is this like a one-off thing?
I think it's been for at least a couple of years. I don't know when
Mhm,
it started, but I would imagine, just based on the way the industry is heading, that it'll be around as long as um, they're willing to compile the devs and put this together. I actually don't know much about who organized it, which is, I realize, is kind of a shame when I'm talking about it.
mm,
I should have crossed my T's and dot my I's, but well, if you look it up on YouTube, I mean, you can find not just about the gentleman who spearheaded this, but also
mhm,
Gemma. You were showing me they had a list of games, which is great because initially they didn't have that, to my knowledge. So I was pausing it every like 10 seconds to jot down stuff, and then I eventually gave up. But
mm.
at least now there's a list, so you can look up these guys on uh, your platform of choice, Twitter. A lot of them have nice websites, and
Yeah. Matt Houston is the guy, and yeah, the list is really handy because it gives you links to more information. There's just too many. 120 it didn't fit into YouTube, I think, is the in the description. That's
Yeah.
why that's why Matt ended up linking to this, kind of spreadsheet, and yeah, it has most of them have links, not all of them, but most of them do have links for more information, whether it's just a Twitter account or a website, whatever it is, to find out more information about the games you're interested in. Hello, kitty. When I hear cat, it always makes me wanna play Little Kitty Big City again, that game that I played recently that I really enjoyed. Yeah. I loved that game, it was so fun. Well, let's move on, and then, speaking of E3 as we were earlier, there was a nice anniversary during the week, which was that amiibo were revealed 10 years ago at E3 2014, which, yeah, there was a, video of Iwata showing off the Mario Smash, amiibo at E3 or during a video part of E3, and I counted my amiibo because I wanted to give you an actual tally. And
Oh,
the number of amiibo that I have right now, I'm pretty impressed. I've passed 100. I'm at 102,
wow.
which I think,
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty good. I think I'm happy with that.
Man,
And
I should have counted. I didn't think of it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think you've got 102.
No, I know I don't, but I'm thinking maybe I have more than Kirk at least. So
Probably, probably. Kirk, you have some Xenoblade and Fire Emblem. Am
Yeah,
I
I've
correct?
got all of the Xenoblades, all of the Fire Emblems that have been
Mhm,
released, and a few Zeldas that I got specifically because I think more so than the other games I played, the Zelda amiibos have been more useful within
mhm.
the game
Yeah.
than they have been in like Fire Emblems and such. So I did get some of those for strategic purposes. The others I just get because I love the games.
Yeah. Perfect. That's pretty good. So you have, yeah, that's a decent little collection there.
Yeah,
I
probably
was trying
around
to,
20, maybe.
yeah, that sounds about right. I need to create a bit of a spreadsheet myself just to see which ones I'm missing now because when I was in Japan and I was amiibo hunting, uh, I found some kind of secondhand ones, and I'm like, oh wait, do I have that one? I can't remember if I have it. So I kind of only bought the ones I knew I didn't have. And I'm like, may have that one already. So yeah, that's the problem. I need like a definitive list to keep me on track because I just forget.
send any duplicates our way, right?
Yes. Yeah. I did. I'm surprised I didn't double up in Japan because I thought for sure I must have, forgotten that I had this one or that one. But no, I didn't.
Did
That's
you
good.
get into Amoeba, Gemma, right from the get go, like those early
Well,
that first wave?
no, not really. I mean, I had a few. The earliest one I had was probably the Twilight Princess one, I think. It came with, the game. Was that on the Wii U? The re-release, I guess? That one?
The one where Minda and the Wolf.
Yeah, yeah, so I got that one.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
great one.
and I had the Mario Maker one that came with the original Mario Maker, the
Oh,
8-bit
see,
Mario.
I didn't get that one, and I really want it.
Yeah, so that's really cool. They
Do
were
you have the
probably,
NES 8-bit Mario or the SNES 16-bit Mario?
uh, the 8-bit NES one.
Uh,
Yeah. Mhm.
okay,
Yes. So those were probably the earliest ones. I didn't really get them straight away. I think when, because Toys to Life was such a big thing back then,
it
and I did,
was.
yeah, and I just felt a bit overwhelmed. I don't know why, because I've always loved Nintendo and I've always liked collecting things like that. I think, I had a 1-year-old. I think I was just not in the right, just wasn't the right time for me to be too invested. And then I think there were the Disney ones, Disney Infinity. I dabbled in that briefly. I never really got into Skylanders. I didn't get any of those. And then there were the Lego ones, which I don't think I got into either, actually, which may have
You
came
might
out a
have
bit.
dodged a bullet with not getting into Skylanders because that's what I got into. Because
Oh, right. Hmm.
I reviewed a game, and they send you a starter pack, and then
Mm,
they send you like goodies, and it's like, oh, these are cool. And then, of course, by that point, Skylanders had been out for a few years, right? They were kind of
mhm,
the forerunner for Toys to Life, and you
mm.
could pick up a lot of them cheap. And before I knew it, I was kind of like you with Amiibo, well over 100, and I was like, where do I put
Wow.
these all?
Yeah, that is an issue. I do have a shelf or several shelves. Amiibo aren't too big, which is good. They're kind of stuck pretty neatly together. We were looking at them the other day because I was counting them, and my kids kind of like to play with them occasionally. And we're looking at some of the designs because they're really well designed. The characters look really good. The platforms that they're on, some of them are really quite plain. Say, I don't know. Well, even the Smash ones, they kind of just have that gold kind of emblem on the platform, and then the Mario series has like a little kind of a checkerboard situation happening, and then you get like the Pikmin one that has like a little grassy knoll, and like it's really detailed on the platform itself, and some of the
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So some of them,
remember actually Kirk might be able to verify that one of the Fire Emblem ones, they had like the base was like, looked like a cobblestone kind of like walkway.
mm, that's
Yeah, I
cool.
think
And
so, but that's not because of Fire Emblem, right? Is that just a? I don't know why that was.
I think that was because I don't remember seeing anything like that. And not that I have a
Oh,
lot of amiibo, but
yeah, I
Mm.
mean, I noticed it, but I didn't know that that was specific for that particular character. You know what? You guys talk
Yeah.
for a second. I'm going to see which one that is. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, because it seems to be themed. Like all the Smash Brothers ones have the same platform, the gold platform. The Mario series has the white, with the slight checkerboard pattern platform. So that's nice. And the Zelda ones have their own little. I think it's a goldy one as well. Maybe it's silver. I can't remember.
yeah.
I don't have one in front of me to look at. But yeah, there's at least it's themed. But yeah, some of them go into a lot more detail than others, which is interesting. So.
Yeah, they've really come a long way. Like you look at the
Mm,
early, like the first model of Link or Princess Peach, and you compare them to like
mm.
later things, you can see that they've come quite a ways in, the last 10 years in terms of just, I think, quality, detail. Um,
Yeah. Do we assume that the Switch successor will have Amiibo compatibility? Surely it would, right? No one's mentioned that. They talk about backwards compatibility and, graphics, HD, whatever, blah, blah, blah. No one's mentioned Amiibo.
yeah, I mean, Amiibo is not what it once was, obviously, but,
Mm,
the same can be said for Toys to Life in general. I mean, look what happened to,
mm.
what was that Switch game? I can't even remember the name of it. It died on the vine.
Which,
Starlink. Remember that? It had
mm,
like the toys. I think I got it brand new for like $5 at Best Buy.
right,
Like,
right.
but
Mm,
I feel like Amiibo are still steady movers when Nintendo comes out with them. I
mm.
mean, how
Yeah.
many of them have had to be reprinted
Hmm.
because they're scalped. So I think the demand's still there. I think it's just Nintendo needs to pick and choose what they're going to come out with. Like,
Yeah.
why did
Yeah.
Thousand Year Door not get Amiibo?
Yeah.
I
And
don't
even
know.
Pikmin 4. Why my son, we're both Pikmin fans. Why was there no Ochi
Yes.
amiibo? That would have been cool. That would have been really cool. So,
And have
Because
there been
Ochi's
any
not in
rumors?
Smash.
any
Have there been any
rumors?
rumors about whether that amiibo are going to be compatible with the new Switch? Has that even been discussed anywhere? I haven't seen anything on it.
Well, what we were just saying, yeah, we haven't heard anything.
Okay.
So no one seems to be talking about that.
Oh, you guys brought that up while I
We
was
did. We
researching my
did.
amiibo. Sorry.
Yeah.
See,
We didn't
it's
know if you had to
hot.
go down to the basement, and we didn't know how long you'd be.
I just wanted
We
to make
should
sure everyone didn't think that I'd fallen asleep or something and missed something
have
important.
we should have made I would have liked to have some
It's,
walking on the step noises just then to see. Yeah.
oh no, I don't use stairs. I've got like a bat pole.
That's good. That's very good. Well, how did you go? Did you find your amiibo in
Yes.
question? Yes?
Well, there are four now. Some of these I've imported from Japan, so I don't know if maybe others were the same. But Almond Celica from Shadows of Valentia, and I have a Tiki that has that
Mhm.
motif on the bottom, and Crom.
Right. Okay.
So it seems kind of random,
Yeah. It
honestly, as to
is.
which
It
ones have
is.
that, which ones don't. But
Mm. Yeah, that's cool. Well, I don't know why. Maybe they were was there a series 2 of Fire Emblem amiibo maybe that were different? I don't know. I don't know. I
yep,
don't know how they do it. And yeah, like Trev said, it's not being used as much. Like games don't promote amiibo use anymore, even though, Tears of Kingdom, for example, did use it. I don't know if Pikmin 4 did. I didn't even try actually. Did Pikmin 4 have
yeah.
amiibo compatibility? Probably. But yeah, why was there no Ochi? or like an updated one with the ice and the ghost Pikmin or something like that.
Yeah.
But I guess they can't make if they saturate the market. Well, there are. I think I was trying to find a define a definite number of how many amiibo there are, and there's varied sources because there are those special Japanese ones, like you said. There's around 280 something like that altogether, not including the amiibo cards. With those, I think there's like 800 or something like that.
Ugh.
Yeah, yeah. So it's about 280-ish, and I have so I'm not even halfway when you think about it,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy.
And the games that have been using them lately haven't really used them cleverly. It's
Mm,
like you scan it and you get a different outfit or a sword or something like that. It's not like
mhm,
initially where people were really building cool functionality into the games if you
mm,
had the amiibos.
yeah, and
Well,
even with
gamers freak out too if you because they don't like locked content. Like remember the Skyward Sword one? I think it enabled like a fast travel, and people went
mm,
nuts and be like, "I can't believe they locked that to the amiibo." Like it was even a big feature. I don't think it was that big, but people are funny. They want the amiibo
mm,
to do cool things, but they also don't want to have to pay for a toy to have to do the cool things. Like
Yeah.
they can't be
yeah.
pleased.
Yeah, no, no, no one can ever be pleased, not fully. That's definitely true. Definitely true. Anyway, so yes, 10 years, it seems, I probably thought it had been longer, to be honest, but no, 10 years seems about right, I guess. And 10 years does seem like a long time ago to me. So, yeah. Anyway, if you're listening, let us know your favorite amiibo and what you think, how many is in your collection, etc. We'd love to know.
Yeah, I got to
But
count. Next show, I'll have a
yeah,
number.
yeah, give us an update on your numbers. The next news item, which is all about sales, because it's that time of year, and by that time of year, I mean winter in Australia, but also it's summer in America. So it's summertime. That's kind of sale time, isn't it? And E3 kind of time. Not that it's E3, but that kind of it's that gaming time of the year. People are on vacation or on holidays. They've got more time for gaming. So there's huge sales. I think it's called the Mega Fun Extreme Sale in the US, and in Australia, it's the winter sale. But there's heaps of games on sale, like over 3,000. Trev, did you write this? 3,472?
At
Is that
least in North America, as of well, we're recording this on the 14th, so
mm, mhm. It's
that's
huge.
crazy. You can't, the Switch can't even load up the pages.
I
It's
know.
just so
I know.
much.
Yeah. Even my son noticed the lag. We were going through the sales yesterday just to see what was there. And he noticed the lag. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of always, it's always like maybe the eShop will improve. Finally, we'll get a decently quick eShop on the Switch too.
I think they got to curate too, like have a limit on
Mm, mhm.
what you can do because some people just have it on sale all the time, or they'll release
Yeah.
20 versions of the same game with minor
Mhm.
modification in the title. Or
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like if you don't bookmark a game you want the week of release, forget finding it. You got to
Yeah.
forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It is. But there's so many games on sale and some huge discounts, like 80, 90% on some titles. Mainly some of the smaller ones, but even the big ones, even the Marios and the Zelda. Oh, sorry, I don't know about Zelda actually. But no, Link's Awakening, I believe, is 33% off or something like that. Some of the big, first party titles are 30 or 33% off. I think Mario U Deluxe is up there. I believe Hyrule Warriors is one as well, and I think even Animal Crossing has some kind of discount. I think 30% off Animal Crossing New Horizons, Splatoon 3. There's Mario
Fire Emblem,
Party, Fire Emblem, yes,
Engage.
that's right. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which maybe I should get it because I still haven't got it, and it's one that I always mean to get when it's on sale, and I still haven't. So perhaps today is the day. That one ends in 2 days though, so actually, I think when this podcast airs, it may not be on sale anymore.
Get it on Wii U. You can probably still get it as a player select, right?
Yeah,
20
true,
bucks.
true. Yeah.
I'll tell the readers too while I'm thinking about it because I just did the same thing. That if you
Mhm.
go into Nintendo and actually click that little heart icon to add games to your wish list, this is when you go look at your wish list and see which of those games you put in there are on sale.
Mm. Mhm.
Because I did that recently with Etrian Odyssey Origins collection, and it
Mhm.
is $40 off.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, see, that's good. That's very good. Were there any other highlights that you guys wanted to mention? I mean, out of the 3 plus thousand, what's some of the ones that you would recommend? Apart from Lego City Undercover Kirk, I noticed that's like 90% off or something ridiculous, which we always recommend. Or at least in Australia it is, yes.
I recommend Link's Awakening. I know some people were
Mhm.
hesitant paying full price because it is a Game Boy game that's just been redone for the Switch. But I think that's a great game, and it's one I've replayed. So I
Mhm.
think you'll definitely, if you're the type of player who looks at like the cost in dollars per like hour or whatever, I wouldn't worry about it. It's a great game.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Check that one out. Any highlights for you, Kirk?
I don't know because I don't have the list in front of me
Oh, okay.
right now.
I mean,
You
Fire
mentioned
Emblem
Fire Emblem,
Engage.
though. Yeah,
yeah.
any Fire Emblem games that you haven't yet played, and I would certainly recommend Engage, even though I was just reading some articles on that. People are if you like the gameplay of the Fire Emblem games as opposed to all the fluff, then definitely grab Engage while it's on sale.
Yes. Sea of Stars is also on sale, as is Unicorn Overlord Monarch Edition.
Oh
I don't
yeah, grab
yeah.
that too. Yes, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
you'd
keep naming
appreciate
off games I like, and I'll tell you.
yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I believe, was also somewhere in there. Yeah, there's quite a few kind of JRPGs or RPGs. Even Bravely Default. I think there was a Bravely Default one, as well as maybe Triangle Strategy as well. Dragon Quest 11. Yeah, there's heaps. There's so many. Bayonetta Origins. Some of these may be ending before. Now that I'm looking at it, some end in 5 days, some end in 2 days. I don't know how this works. There's,
In the case of Nintendo published games too,
mm,
they rarely go on sale, and you're not really going to do much better than 30% off. So if
mm.
it's a game you want, you might as well get it now because they keep their value.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So definitely check it out. It's yeah, like we said, there's thousands of games to look at, and plenty of indie ones too. So even the smaller titles that, like I said, have a good 80, 70, 80, 90% off. You can get a decent game that's currently, say, $30 or $40. You can get it for like $3. It's ridiculous. We got one, and this is just a random one, called 911 Operator that looked interesting to my son. He's into kind of police games, and this is like a bit of a management sort of sim style game where you kind of have a top down view of like a map of cities. I don't know which cities are. I don't know if they're fictional or real cities, but it seems US based. Like the voiceovers are with US accents. And you're a 911 operator. So calls come in, and you have to delegate vehicles to go and sort out these issues, whether it's police incident. Someone's broken into something, or there's some kind of something going down that you you need police presence, whether it's someone's having a heart attack, you need to send an ambulance, whether there's a fire emergency. Yeah, so and that was like $3, and it is usually like 30 something in
Is
Australia.
it narrated by William Shatner by any chance?
No. Is he
Uh,
known for 911 calls?
Um, in
What's
the I
the
think it was the early '90s, maybe even late '80s, there was this show in the states called Rescue 911, and they
Oh,
would do like dramatic kind of like reenactments, and he was like the I don't even host, narrator, like commentator, like
I do vaguely remember that show. I didn't know William Shatner was the host. I may not have known who William Shatner was back then. But other
watch the
than
analytics. We're losing the audience now, and they're like,
yeah,
"What?"
okay, yeah. Quickly make a Flash Gordon reference.
There is a Rescue 911 themed pinball table in
Really?
maybe it's the Stern Pinball Collection on Switch.
Okay. Yeah.
So um,
Mhm.
it's not totally out there. This reference,
Okay, thank you. Well,
just mostly.
anything else you guys wanted to mention to do with the sales side of things?
I came up with one more. Speaking of
Yeah.
Fire Emblem again,
Okay.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE
Ah,
Encore.
Uh-huh.
which is an Atlas-made Fire Emblem game, and I'm putting Fire Emblem in quotes that you can't see because it really is more of a Persona game with like
Mhm.
some references to Fire Emblem, but
Right.
good references, and it's a great game. It originally came out on the Wii U, I believe. And they remastered it for the Switch, and I love it. It's one of my favorite games. I'd say my top 10 over the
Wow.
course of the Wii U and the Switch. So, yeah, if you're at all a Persona fan or just that Atlas style of gameplay and you didn't check that out, do. It's on sale
Mm.
for $42, normally $60. Oh, but the
Cool.
sale ends in 2 days, so it may
Oh,
be done by the time
maybe
this
done.
goes live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe done. Sorry. Well,
Hopefully, you're
let's move on.
watching this episode Monday morning.
Yeah,
Maybe
hopefully.
maybe the sale will have run late.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. No, if you are watching this on Monday or listening on Monday, it will you should still have time. Jump on board, check out the sales. There's lots there. Some do end in 5 days, so you'll get a few days leeway there.
Yeah. And add it
Now,
to your wish list so that the next sale comes around, you're ready to go.
yeah, that's a really good tip.
Oh,
It's a good tip. Yeah, just hit that heart icon and then do it on this podcast as well. So
Nicely done.
thanks. Well, let's move on to some more news. We've got what is this one? This is to do with the Nintendo World Championships Kickstarter. Is this a Trevor Kirk one? Sorry.
oh, I put that down. I just thought it
Mhm.
might be sort of like a follow up because last week, even though I wasn't on the show, I was listening, and you guys were talking about like that fan made Zelda remake,
Oh yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
Yep.
and it's like it's cool, but what do you do with it? Because
Mm.
you can't sell it, and it's a similar case with this. Like, what is the Kickstarter was successful. Is this ever going to come out? It's not your property. Like,
Right.
and you can do a nice reproduction and label and extras, but at the end of the day, are these just ROMs on a cart? How long before Nintendo shuts it down? Especially since they're doing their own variation of it. What, at the end of next month?
Mm.
It's not Nintendo World Championship per se, but it's in that similar style of legit release. So I I just look at these crowdfunding things and I wonder what's your end game
Mm.
when you're
So this
using
well,
stuff that's not
yeah.
yours.
And this person is selling it. So you do like it's a Kickstarter, it's been funded, but then to buy it so it's a cartridge. Basically, what is it? It's an unofficial reproduction of the NES Nintendo World Championships cartridge.
Oh,
And
you know what? I'm
yeah,
going to interrupt real quickly because
sure.
Nintendo interrupted.
Oh, okay. There's an update?
I just went to their Kickstarter page and it says a new developed pro version for the NES is the subject of an intellectual property dispute and is currently unavailable.
Ooh,
Ooh,
breaking news.
breaking news. Yes, that's it.
So there goes that.
Uh,
Okay. Well, that answers the
Maybe one of
question.
their funding levels also was going to pay for the ridiculous lawyer fees they were going to have to take care of eventually.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think if you're because this person has obviously changed the game because it's not just the original NES game. It's the NES game, this World Championships NES game, but they've made it harder somehow. Like instead of starting in World 1-1 in Super Mario Brothers, you're starting in World 8-1, and like in Tetris, you start at level 8 instead of whatever it was previously. Um, so how he's done that, I don't know. But also, you can't make money off a Nintendo game, right? Like you just can't. That's not allowed. If he was giving it out for free, like this Zelda remake, probably
yeah.
it's okay. I
I
don't
mean, I
know.
get the desire for these reproductions too, because,
Mm.
you
Mhm.
know, NES games, commercial NES games haven't been made in 30 years. And some of them are crazy
Mm.
expensive. And it's one thing to have a reproduction to sit on my shelf, as a collector or just as a fan, for myself. But yeah, when you're profiting off of it, you, you can't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise I'd be banking Kirk's rewrite of Flash Gordon there.
Yes. Yes, we got it.
True story. I actually started one at some point
Oh,
when I
wow.
was young, just as a writing. Oh, I had so many great ideas. So many.
Very cool. Very cool. Who among us hasn't done that?
That's true. Yeah.
Wait,
It
Gemma, have you seen Flash Gordon?
No, I haven't.
Well, I think she was saying just come up with your own sequels and write your own versions of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
right?
know. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Not specifically Flash Gordon, but yes.
you watch Flash Gordon, and Kirk will watch Return of the Jedi, and we'll change notes.
I still can't believe you didn't get through that, but that's okay. And this person who was doing this NES Kickstarter someone asked, and obviously now it's become a thing, but originally he said there have been dozens of uh, Nintendo World Championship reproductions, I guess, made, and have not been shut down. So he was like, "Hey, other people have done it. I'm going to do it and make some money off it." I don't know, but Nintendo has said no. I guess to this. Maybe their lawyers looking into it. Maybe we'll get around it. I can't see it happening personally, but it's
I don't think that's a good legal defense where others have gotten away with it. So, and the thing is,
yeah.
once major Nintendo sites, like I saw this story on a couple Nintendo sites, once they
Mhm.
pick it up, forget it. Like, if you're going to run a campaign like this, why try to push it
Mm.
on like
Yeah.
Nintendo Life, the world's biggest Nintendo site?
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's only going
exactly.
to be a matter of time. Try to be clandestine and keep it
Yeah.
low key. Not that I'm promoting this in any way, but it just boggles the mind. It really does.
Mm. I mean, it's tricky because you want to. I don't know if this is going viral exactly, but if you want to be promoted, because how else are you going to get support on your Kickstarter? But then it's a double-edged sword because then by the other side of it is that Nintendo will see it and will shut you down. So how do
Yeah,
you do
I
that? How
said
do you?
the,
Mm.
the alternative is to just not do something that's illegal, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's always that
Come up with
option.
your own idea and
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, have a
Exactly.
say.
There's a lot of Tetris knockoffs, do a Tetris knockoff
Mm.
and start it at a high level there.
The world needs at least one more Tetris knockoff, obviously. So,
my son's playing one of those on his iPhone right now, which is like Tetris without pressure. Like they're not falling. You just drag the
huh,
pieces up from the screen and put them in and make them go away. Like
okay.
it
It's a
would be like
relaxing
playing
way.
Space Invaders, but they're not descending upon you. You just go back and forth and shoot. I don't understand it.
Oh, interesting.
This
Okay.
casual generation, right?
Yeah.
Is
Pac-Man,
that
where the ghost stands still.
you've got so many good ideas. You should bottle those.
That's right.
I'm going to write these down before we forget.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll start a whole line of pressureless video games for people who just, can't be bothered with more anxiety in their life.
Yeah. Breaking news. This is what we're working on next. So,
They call them cozy. That's the genre, right? Cozy games.
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yes. Well, there's a market for it, obviously, if people like your
Yeah,
son are playing it. So,
he
yeah.
plays it all the time. Has a good time
Yeah.
with it.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, should we move on to games we're playing, or did you want to talk about this other kind of funny one, Trev? We have on our list.
Which one? Oh,
No, you say we have to now, don't
Well,
we?
well,
I know we kind of do.
there's more breaking news. I found this maybe like a half an hour before we started recording on
Hmm.
was it Kotaku? But somebody got busted for trying to smuggle out of the airport 350 Switch games concealed in their bra. And
It's a
putting the
lot of.
bust and getting busted.
And so, why was this bad? Like, why can't you travel with 350 Switch games? Is it because they're being taken out of the country illegally for some reason, or are they
Well,
counterfeit? Like,
well I think if they were legal, they wouldn't be concealed in
yeah. Well, that's yeah.
underwear. I didn't actually. It was mostly the headline. It was. I don't know if it was. At first, I'm like, "Is this a clickbait thing?" And then I clicked it, and I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of legit." But yeah, apparently there's. See, now you're gonna make me read it. But
It might just be that it was valued too high. You're not allowed to travel with
what they say
stuff.
was valued like $10,000 worth of games or something like that.
Yeah.
That's probably it. Was had not declaring it at customs, right? Like because if you buy them, you have to
Yes,
declare them, and you may have to pay the thing. Yeah, so for 350, that's a lot of money.
that was exactly it. Evading customs by hiding, disguising, concealing, etc. And apparently they thought she looked a little, I don't know, lopsided, or I don't know what made them do a search, but
Yeah. So
it
it's the
was,
tax evasion, basically.
yeah.
But, you kind of like, "Why?"
That was it. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
and
was
she was
smuggling over 300 Switch cartridges in her brassiere, likely explaining her odd behavior and the strange shape of her bust. Quote.
Did she like where did this happen? Was she so she was in China and she got busted at the
she was
Chinese airport?
Yeah,
leaving Hong
she was trying to
Kong.
leave Hong Kong
Okay,
at
so she
the. Oh
hadn't
wait, maybe
actually
it
been
wasn't
on.
an airport. It says port.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Mm,
Is that boat?
yeah, I guess. Anyway, yes, so she was stopped by customs officials. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you gotta be cool about it. She was acting strange
I'm
and
trying
nervous.
to dissect this pixelated image. Are the games in cases, or are they? I assume they were just loose carts, but how
She had
could
350 cases in her
that
bra.
defies physics?
Yeah. That would explain why she's acting weird.
Yeah.
Gemma, you got to
Yeah.
put this photo when we're talking about this on YouTube. You got to have this photo up.
Yeah, I
What
will.
games were they?
That's a good question also, yeah.
Like that's all I want to know. I want to know if it was worth it. Like, were these good games that she had to get back here with?
Yeah, was she gonna sell them? I don't know. And yeah, like, do you think she started with a couple and she's like, "Yeah, this is working really well," and she's like,
Just,
just
yeah,
one more,"
yeah.
until she got
I got
50.
room.
Oh my goodness, this article. The more I'm reading it, the funnier it
Yeah,
gets.
it is hilarious. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Trev. Hopefully our listeners are still with us. So
Oh yeah, and if you're listening and you've ever smuggled games out of China, let us know how you did it and how many you got.
yeah, can you top 350?
What does the Duff Book of World's Records say is the most Switch games you can smuggle out in your underwear?
Yeah, I'd like to know the answer to that.
Oh, I feel so
Oh,
bad for her though.
yeah. Well, apparently she won't be getting jail time because, well, it's unlikely, even though I'm sure things are pretty strict in China. I don't know, but it's not a huge crime that they're not like, she's not smuggling drugs or anything like that. It's games, and she was avoiding tax, so she'll probably get a fine, is the good news. So she'll have to pay 3 times probably what she was supposed to pay, and that will be the end of it, I suppose. I mean, slap on the wrist, do not do it again. Maybe next time use something that's not so obvious as your bust. It's a bust. So it's a bust. Let's move on to the
Uh,
games we're playing. So I'll start, and I was playing a little game during the week called TP Bullet, which is just a little indie title. It's a little $5 title. I think it's on sale at the moment, actually, as is everything else. But it is a little platformer, a little puzzle platformer. I've written up my review. I just need to post it, actually, so you'll see it online. It'll be online before this podcast airs, and it's a clever little game. So it's very, very simple. There's 80 levels. You're a little spy, and you have been granted the story is ridiculous. It's like you're a spy in the real world, but these little ghosty skeleton people take over the world for some reason, and then a witch gives you a special gun. So don't know why. And your job is to collect a magical coin from each of these 80 levels in order to defeat this skeleton king, whatever his name is. That's the premise. It's superfluous. But basically, the bullet is magical in that there's a special block in each level, and if you shoot the block, you teleport with it and you swap places with it. So if the block's on the left and you're on the right and you shoot it, you swap places and you become on the right and it goes to the left, if that's what I just said. Anyway, you swap places. It's a really interesting mechanic, and it seems very simple at first. The first few levels are very easy and you learn the mechanics. You can jump and shoot. You only have one bullets or maybe 2 or 3, a maximum of 3, but you only have a very set number of bullets in each level, so you can't just go wasting them. There's a lot of restarts and a lot of, retries because as the puzzles get more intense, for example, you can see the coin, it's kind of maybe on the far right, but there's spikes in your way. So what do? You jump into the middle of the spikes, time your shot with your bullet into the block, the magic block or special block, and you swap and the block ends up on the spikes. Then you can go back and jump onto the spike safely via the block and reach the coin. So it's that kind of puzzle, kind of logic element where you have to just work out, how do I make the block appear where I need it to so that I can the coin, essentially. That's the gimmick. And it's cute, it's fun. The levels are quite compact, as in they just fit onto one screen, but they do get pretty tricky pretty early on. Like I got to around 20 before I was like, I don't know how to do this. This is a hard level. So yeah, it gets really tricky. So even though A levels doesn't seem like a whole lot, it's plenty in the brain teasing department. And
Wait,
yeah,
how
it is
many levels?
80, 80 levels.
Oh wow! Because I was looking on the Nintendo site. This is 40. Is this like a DX version or something?
Oh, I don't know, but there's definitely 80 in the version I'm playing.
Huh.
Yeah, weird.
Interesting.
Maybe they updated. No, it's only a new game. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
wonder if there's like a new game plus or something where the other half are. No, I don't know.
Maybe they just wrote the description wrong when they sent it to
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Maybe it's a typo. Yeah. Or
Or
maybe they planned for 40 and then they've managed to squeeze another 40 out. I don't know. They concealed
Oh,
it
that'd be
somehow
fun.
in their bra. But um,
Jemma.
sorry. But yeah, it's a fun little game. I gave it a decent review. It's like I said, it's very simple. There's nothing else to do apart from complete the levels. That's enough for a $5 game, I think. But there's no reason to replay. There's no other collectible. There's no timer. You don't really need the timer. You could have, you could have a speed goal, I suppose, to get 3 stars or something like that. That's not part of it. It's just about getting the coin. Um, yeah, but it's a very cheap game. The music is cute and the graphics are cute. It's kind of that retro style, 16-bit kind of look, retro. Sorry, what am I saying? Aesthetic. So it looks nice. It plays well. It's not without its flaws, but it's a decent time if you're looking for something different in the platforming genre. And it's kind of one of those games I would say you would, you know, almost pick up and play, do a level or two or whatever, and then maybe in between other bigger games. It's not one you'd sit for hours doing at a time, especially because you will need to step away from these trickier levels to think and then come back. And how sometimes you can solve things while you're not doing them. I don't know, like with work problems, for example. Sometimes a solution will come to me while I'm in the shower or something. It's like that. It's like you need to step away and just think about it and then retry. Yeah, it's a fun little one. And let's see what Kak's playing. What are you playing this week?
well, I just wrapped up playing Euden Chronicle 100 Heroes.
Cool.
The review's ready to go. It'll be up on up on Switch, up on Pure Nintendo this weekend or maybe on Monday. And this game, it took longer for us to get to it. I think I mentioned in the podcast and in the review because, we misplaced the code basically, but also I'm glad I waited because they were going to release an update. There were issues with the Switch version, and I wanted to wait until that was out before I really dug into the game to see if it fixed any of the problems that the Switch had, and it didn't really, not all of them anyway. Um,
Okay. Hmm.
so there, and the main thing is it's just like tons of load screens, like, and they're
Mm.
not super long, but it's everything. Like when you go to a store and when you open a menu and when you go in to say the overworld from like within a village and before a big battle, it's like just tons of little load screens where you're watching the little guy run in the bottom corner, and
Mm.
it's a little too much, and that was the main thing that kind of threw me off the game. Um, but otherwise, I still enjoyed it despite that. But they mentioned right at the beginning of the game that this game is dedicated with love to JRPG gamers, and that's me. So I was definitely the target audience, and there's still enough in the game that if you're a fan of RPGs, especially JRPGs, that it's a good time.
Did you feel the love then for the
Yeah,
fans?
I felt the love. I wanted to sing a song. I don't know what the song is, but
It would be in
can you feel the
Japanese.
love tonight? Is that what it is? Is it a Disney
Oh
thing?
yeah,
I don't
yeah, but in Japanese though.
know. Okay.
Yeah.
um, yeah, they like the things that really work about the game are the story is good, and there are I think 120 total characters that you can recruit in this game and put on your team. which seems like a lot, and it is, but so many of them were fun,
Hmm.
and distinctive, and I found that pretty incredible despite the large number. And they have a really good system that I won't go into detail on to make sure that you can work a lot of those people into your party and try them out and see who works well with others, which ones you like and which ones you don't. Because, and I've never seen any other game do this before, you have like your main people that have to be in the party, right? And then the other people that you can kind of stack with it. You could take your main characters and make them like alternates. So they're not actually used in the battles. You can't bring them in, but they're in your group. So if you're progressing the story and the character needs to be there, that character is there, as opposed to
Hmm.
back at like the village or wherever you might have left them. So it's a good way to allow you to kind of shove those people aside and work with other people while making sure that logistically they're there for the story elements that need them.
Oh, that's cool. I'm surprised there are 120 odd heroes because it's called 100 heroes. I feel like that's a misnomer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
It should
100,
be
Where were they
100,
hiding the
100,
extra 20?
Yeah,
100 heroes sounds so much better though, right?
it
100 heroes
does.
instead of
Yeah,
120.
yeah, yeah,
And
it
then you
does.
have to get into that argument whether it's 120 or 120. So,
Hmm. Agreed. Yes, but it sounds really cool. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I'm glad you enjoyed
yeah.
it. Hmm.
Yeah, it's a good lively game. It's got a bunch of like mini games in it. Some are great, some of them aren't so great, but there's an awful lot to keep your attention as you're going along and break up the
Hmm.
monotony of the backtracking and the grinding that you get in JRPGs.
Hmm. Yeah. What sort of time frame do you think in terms of playtime for this one?
I didn't even track that. I'll have to ask me again next week. I'll pull it up and
Okay.
let you know what I hit when I got to the end.
Okay. Sounds good.
But it's dozens.
Yeah.
I don't think we're not talking 100, but
Hmm.
it's up there
Yeah. Cool. And the other, well, this is a big release for the week, which was Shin Megami Tensei V, Vengeance. Do you say five or V?
I
Hmm.
say, yeah, it's five. It's five.
Five.
It's the
Cool.
fifth in the series
Yeah. Which I think that just came out like yesterday, right? For us
today.
recording today. Oh yeah. Okay.
Today.
Friday.
In fact, I'm kind of lying to everybody right now because I haven't started playing it yet. I'm
Hmm.
going to start playing it tonight.
Ah, okay.
But
Yes.
yeah, that's going to take things over for me for a little bit.
Hmm.
So I could play through these new story elements. And it sounds like at the beginning you can decide early which path you want to go down. I thought it was further along, but in some of the comments or reviews I read, they were talking about being able to decide early on if you want to go down the vengeance path or the path that was in the original game. So it sounds like I'll be
Mm.
able to get to the new stuff quickly.
Yeah, it sounds good. And it sounds like it's a good game. It's from what I've heard, it's more like if you've played the original, do you need to play this one? Like, because it should have been DLC or could have been DLC potentially, but it is a full-fledged game. It's really good, but maybe people who enjoyed the first one, maybe I don't know, because it's full price, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I know there's been some negative commentary on that too, because people who
Mm,
already bought the game are buying it to basically replay portions of it, but to get more, so it feels more like
mm,
DLC. But
yeah.
it's also coming out on other consoles now for the first time,
Oh, that's right.
so it's
Hmm.
all new to them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Which is interesting. Normally, I suppose the Switch is the one getting the definitive versions of things that haven't been on the Switch before. I mean, it's good that it is coming, like the definitive version is coming, or Vengeance, whatever. But this ultimate version with extra content is coming to the Switch. It's not missing out.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't, like you said, you can't please everyone, can you? So,
I,
yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Well, we look forward to hearing more about that once you get into it, then, and you can give
yep,
us your full thoughts. Trevor, are you playing anything this week?
Um,
Y-
I didn't put Paper Mario on simply because it's been on the last two shows I've been on, and
Mm.
I thought
But you
people would get
finished.
sick of hearing about it. I am not, but my review is. In fact, it was proved just a few hours ago, and it'll be up um, before this podcast airs.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I've sunk plenty of time into it, enough to get the review up, and
Mm.
Ideally, I'd like to beat every game at 100% every game before you review it, but that's just not always practical. So, but I put a
Yeah.
lot of effort into it, and yeah, and now I can take my time with what remains. So, I did make
Mm.
it pretty far into it. It's not like I'm still in the first half or anything like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but I've mostly been playing that. I was actually gonna, because you guys were talking about the Mega Man Game Boy games, I was gonna
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
check those out on a Switch Online, but my subscription expired. And then I
Ah,
remembered I have those anyway, so I don't even have to play them on Switch. I can just play them. So
cool. Yeah. Well, do you have a favorite? We did want to ask you that question last week of the 5 that were released on Switch Online, Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Do you have a favorite of this series of those 5?
that's a good question. It's interesting. The first four kind of were like hybrids. They would take like um, half of like one NES game and then half of the other, and kind of mix them into something
Mm.
sort of new.
Mhm.
Um, except with the exception, I think, of the fifth one, which was entirely brand new.
Right.
But I wouldn't say it's a favorite, but I'd give a shout out to two, just because most people knock Mega Man 2 on the Game Boy, not on the NES. But I feel like I need to defend it. The main criticism is the quality of the music, which eh, I'm going to bore the audience. It evidently had to do with the developer wasn't really familiar, I guess, with the like limits of the Game Boy. There was some mistake, but anyway,
Mm. Mhm.
it has a shrill quality that can be off-putting, but the tunes themselves, if you could get a nice version, say on vinyl, they'd be great. So, and it's a fun game. It's one of the ones that doesn't make you want to pull your hair out, which can be nice for newer players.
Ah, yeah.
And
Mhm.
yeah, based on Mega Man 2 and 3, which were the best NES games. So,
Cool.
like I say,
Good
it's
to
my
know.
favorite, but I just want to defend it because a lot of people
Yeah.
knock it.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know because I think, yeah, I jumped into 5 just because it was the newest of them, I guess. Like, even though they're old games. I don't know. I thought start with the latest one.
It's
Um,
tough to do
yeah.
like Dr. Wily's Revenge, which was the first one. It's really got some issues with like hit detection and stuff. So you're probably better off starting with the later ones.
Mm. Oh, thanks. I made the right decision. And you haven't had a chance to try Star Wars Hunters at all?
No, I did not, and I probably should have, since that was the thumbnail image.
That's all
But I
right.
have not. I like Star Wars games though,
Yeah.
so
No, not like
and I
not
feel
like
like that was listed in the coming soon forever. So I'm glad it's finally out
Mm.
because
Yeah. I've played more of it this week. I have been dipping into that again and quite enjoying it. I mean, it's a free to play game, so it's hard to criticize when you have long load times, for example. But also, it's a bit like Pokemon Unite, like I said last week, in that it's you're matchmaking with people around the world. So sometimes that can take a little bit of time. And once it's up and running, things run pretty smoothly, I find. So I'm pretty happy about that. Um, and I'm winning most of the time, which I'm pleasantly surprised. Not always, mind you, but yeah,
it's like
sometimes.
Mario Kart all over again.
Yeah, I'm definitely not the best. Some players are very, very good, and they just take me out very quickly. But I try, and I'm getting a little bit better. So yeah, it's fun. Yeah, if you want to give it a go, it is free to play. So yeah, definitely worth a try if you're a fan. And I do like the characters because they're very interesting kind of new characters. Like there's a new Wookiee, there's a new Transdoshan, there's a new Greedo type of what's he? What? Oh, I can't remember what species he is, but there's a Greedo person. Yeah, there's a calamari person. Yeah, there's heaps of cool new characters
Are
to
there any
unlock.
Ewoks for Kirk?
No,
Uh,
no, there is. You do find
well,
the end,
you're
but
painting me in a bad light. I don't hate Ewoks in general. I just hate movies that make 75% of the film about them running around in the woods. Like if they had Jawa style involvement, I would have been fine. Okay, back to
well,
Nintendo.
the Jawas are in Star Wars Hunters. I think I did mention that. There's a
Okay,
pair of them.
yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because they're like standing on top of each other, making
Yeah.
cheating.
Yeah. I haven't unlocked that yet. So you
Okay.
unlock each one. The more you play, I guess, the more you kind of earn in terms of points and gems and whatever, and eventually unlock more characters. I've unlocked, I think, 5. I've got the Wookiee, the Greedo dude, or maybe it's a girl actually. Greedo type of person. The
It
Chinese,
works. Greedo dudes.
yeah, the bounty hunter, the stormtrooper. Yeah, there's heaps. I'm really looking forward to getting the Sith character. I think the Jedi is next for me, but I do want the Sith character because you can try them. You can actually go into the kind of practice area and try them all out, which is really neat. So I've tried them all. I just haven't unlocked them all officially. And the other thing is when you do these event games, you do randomly get assigned to a character. So normally if you do just hit the battle kind of mode, you can choose a character, but there's these special events and you just get given a character. So you can be given a character that you don't have there as well, which is interesting. Yeah, but when I've tried the Sith, sorry, she's really cool. And she's pretty powerful, and so I'm looking forward to unlocking her and getting better at using her in the battles. But yeah, and that's, I guess, the end of our show. Did either of you have anything else you would like to mention before we sign off for the week? Nothing.
Nope, except
Yeah.
hope that by this time next week, we're at least talking about when the Nintendo Direct will be. Although I
Yes.
anticipate it being as late in the month as it can get.
True. So you think it won't be this week? You think it might be the following week? Because we've only got
Yeah,
2 more
yeah,
weeks of June, and it's usually, what is it? Usually a Wednesday, Thursday kind of situation, I think.
I believe so.
So we might be talking about it next week, or at the least the week after. So exciting times. Look forward to that.
They'll mess with us. They'll announce it for Friday, and then we won't be able to
Yeah.
record our podcast.
Yeah. Yes. No, we'll have to postpone if that's the case, won't we? Yeah. Well, thank you both for joining me again this week. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We hope you found something interesting amongst all of the items that we discussed. If you'd like to follow us, we are on social media on Twitter/X. We're on Mastodon and Blue Sky as well. We are also putting together our next issue of the Pure Nintendo magazine. If you'd like to support us and get yourself a copy of the physical magazine that we put out, please jump over to patreon.com/Pure Nintendo, and we'd love your support. But until next week, thank you and game on, everybody. Bye.
Catch you later.